What's up, explorers? Welcome back to our channel. We're the Choose here from Choose to Explore, where we teach you guys how to see the world
and save $1.
So we just had an amazing 6-day trip in Peru, and we did so much. From the people we met, to the culture, to the amazing food, the landscapes, the world wonders. We did so much. But in this video, we're gonna give you guys 14 things that shocked us on our trip to Peru. So stay tuned, you don't wanna miss this one.
So number 1, the seasons are completely flipped around if you're coming from the United States.
So we planned this trip during our summer, during the months of June and July. So leaving from New York, it was about 90 degrees and a heat wave here. But we went down to Peru and it was completely flipped around. It's their winter.
So Peru is located in the southern hemisphere, so our summer is actually their winter. And also, our summer is also their dry season, so there actually wasn't any rain during the time that we were there.
Which is fantastic for us, at least.
So the next thing that shocked us was that there was a major weather changes from location to location in Peru.
And this really ties into where Peru is located in the southern hemisphere in South America. So Lima, Peru is actually a coastal city, so you get a lot of breeze coming in from the ocean. But at the same time, it is low elevation, so it still was kind of hot when we were there. Think, for my people who know Fahrenheit, around 70s, or with the sun out, high 70s. So it really varies depending on when the sun is and where the shade is as well. But going from Lima to Cusco was a major difference, especially with that sun. So Cusco is located in the Andes Mountains, and when the sun is not there, it is cold. I don't mean chilly, I mean cold. Like, we had to go and buy ponchos because it was so cold when we went. During the day when the sun is out, it was pretty warm though. We didn't need the ponchos, but at night, get those ponchos.
You need the layers. So even though Cusco is on the cooler side, Machu Picchu has its own climate.
So we went there with our ponchos, trying to take some picturesque pictures there. But we had to take those off quickly, expeditiously. Because walking around, hiking with those ponchos during that heat is not it. Just do it for the pictures, do it for the gram. But in reality, you're gonna be hot with those. And like we said, we went there in their winter or their dry season.
Yes, this is especially true if you're coming during a very sunny day.
We'll actually talk about our experience with Machu Picchu a little bit later on in the video, so stay tuned for that as well.
The next thing that surprised us was the changes in altitude throughout the country.
So as we said earlier, Lima is basically at sea level with not a lot of elevation. However, when you fly into Cusco from Lima, you feel it almost immediately in your chest. Cusco has an elevation of about 11,000 feet. So just for reference, people talk about the elevation in Denver, Colorado, which is called the Mile High City because it's 5,380 feet. Literally, Cusco is double that, 11,000 feet above sea level.
But there are different remedies that you can use that can help with altitude sickness, such as the cocoa tea or different medication. And we include some of the best remedies inside of our Explore Peru guide linked in the description below.
One thing that helped us when we flew into Cusco was that exact same day we went to Machu Picchu. And even though Machu Picchu is in the mountains, it's lower in elevation than Cusco. So we went from 11,000 feet down to below 8,000 feet. And this can really help you adjust to the altitude before you go back to Cusco later on.
Alright, so the next thing is that Peru has some of the best food in the whole world.
Peru is one of the foodie capitals of the world. And every restaurant that we went to had hits and no misses. No misses at all in terms of food in Peru. And Lima in particular is one of the foodie capitals of the world. It actually has one restaurant known as Central, which was voted the #1 restaurant in the entire world. And in that top 50 list, Lima actually has 4 restaurants in the top 50 restaurants in the world. That is crazy. And one of the best things about Peru is you don't need to spend a lot of money to eat fantastic in Peru.
And we have a ton of great recommendations that's included inside of our Explore Peru travel guide, and they're all organized by budget.
So check that out, guys.
The next thing that shocked us were all the alpacas.
So these alpacas were super cute and cuddly, but they are not to be confused with a llama. So alpacas are typically found at higher elevations, but they were actually brought to Machu Picchu to mow the lawn. They are natural lawn mowers.
You can see a lot of them in Cusco on the streets, and you can actually take pictures with them.
Just be sure to bargain and negotiate what the price is, because a lot of times people just go up and take pictures with them, and then the lady will just ask you for a lot of money. If you negotiate beforehand, you can get a fair price for doing so. But honestly, my favorite part of the alpaca is that they are so tasty. Listen, the lomo saltado with the alpaca is chef's kiss. Fantastic. I highly recommend getting the lomo saltado, the alpaca. Just be sure to pet alpaca right after, just to ease the guilt. But fantastic. Eat the alpaca.
Pet the alpaca. The next thing that shocked us was that there were so many Ubers available and they were really cheap.
And when we say cheap, I mean 50 cents, $2. I mean, our Uber from the airport was like $5, which is unheard of for a ride from the airport. But one thing to note is that there is a ton of traffic in Lima in particular. So in these instances, public transportation may be a better bet, but we personally did not use it. The buses go in their own lane, so they typically just bypass the traffic. So different experience and a lot more affordable, but I mean, 50 cents versus $1 is neither here nor there for us personally as privileged Americans.
So the next thing that really shocked us was how affordable and well-connected Peru is through buses.
So we took different buses to get to different cities in Peru, and they were fantastic. A lot of them had really nice inclined chairs, they were comfortable, and they had assigned seating, so I knew I would sit next to my wife.
And our overall experience with the buses was safe and comfortable.
So we took buses to the Balestas Islands, Ica, as well as Huacachina, which was an amazing day trip, and we took public transportation the whole way. You can see our experience linked below and in the top right corner as well.
So the next thing that surprised us was that credit cards are widely accepted in Peru.
So we traveled to over 10 countries in Latin America, and in a lot of these countries they typically don't take credit card, but Peru was great because they did. So their actual currency is the sol, and at the time of this recording, it's a little bit under 4 soles to $1. So while we did have cash on us that we did use, using our credit cards that have no foreign transaction fees was super beneficial for us to save on our cash.
So the next thing that was really shocking was just how affordable Peru was as an American.
So overall, your currency goes really far with the US dollar. And I'm talking about we had amazing Airbnbs for under $30 a night. We had a beachfront Airbnb with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms with amazing views for under $30 a night. We ate at great restaurants and a lot of our bills were like $10, $15 for the 2 of us. I already talked about Ubers and transportation, and even our flights to go from Lima to Cusco were under $30 per person as well. So it's definitely a great place to see the world and save $1. The only thing that was expensive in the country, and it's kind of hard to get around, is Machu Picchu. But we made an entire video on how to make Machu Picchu more affordable, as well as our entire experience there. And you can check that linked in our description below.
So the next thing that surprised us was that usually we like to do things DIY, but at Machu Picchu, you pretty much do need a guide.
So Local Guide will give you perspective to literally what you're looking at. Because if you don't have a guide, you're just looking at rocks and grass and mountains. Now, while that is beautiful, you need the context and the whole story behind it.
There's so much to the story, so many details that you really need to know about. So our guide was top tier. He spoke really great English, he took amazing photos, and he let us go at our own pace and gave us so much great insight into Machu Picchu. So we have his contact information included in our Explore Peru guide as well. The next thing that surprised us was that when you enter Peru, you actually don't get a passport stamp.
So we want to get as many stamps as possible. We want to fill up our little passports. But there is a place in Aguas Calientes where you can get a stamp of Machu Picchu in your passport. However, just be cognizant that this is not an official stamp, and some places may consider your passport damaged by putting unofficial stamps in your passport.
The next thing that was shocking was all the different vibes that were in Lima.
So as we said, we went in there winter, and we stayed 3 different days in Lima, and every day was a different adventure. Even though we were there in their winter, there were a lot of people at the beaches. There's beautiful street art. We already talked about the amazing foods, the differences in culture, the Spanish style buildings, the old styles. Every different area in Lima is completely different from the others.
So the next thing that we want to cover is safety and how we felt while we were in Peru.
So while we were there, I usually walk around with my little camera, and a lot of people told me to watch out and be careful with walking around with my camera. Now, while I do understand where people are coming from and definitely take their information serious, I did not feel unsafe during any point in my vacation. And this is just my experience from going around in Lima, Peru. And this is including not being a fluent Spanish speaker, taking public transportation, walking around a lot, and having technology. I did not feel unsafe at all.
But still, you should be aware of your surroundings, and if something feels off, don't stick around. The next thing that shouldn't actually surprise you is that most people speak Spanish, so definitely brush up on your Spanish before heading to Peru.
Another great thing is in a lot of high traffic tourist areas, those people tend to speak a lot of good English. The menus typically are in Spanish and English in those areas as well. And your best bet if you're not fluent in Spanish is to use Google Translate. Download those offline apps, and they even have a Google Translate photo option where you could take a picture of something and it will translate for you right then and there.
But if you are interested in brushing up on your Spanish, you can also do that with Babbel, and we have a link to that in our description. So there you have it. That's 14 things that surprised us during our time in Peru.
And how you guys can avoid those mistakes as well. So thank you guys so much for checking out our channel. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We truly appreciate each and every one of you guys that watch this, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you're sitting here watching this video with us. So thank you guys so much. So we'll see you guys on the next one.